have a microphone you gotta turn on when we get ready. You get comfortable in that chair.
Learn how to drive it.
This is all Steve's chair. But thanks for noticing.
No, there was one in between. Chief was here.
No, I was here.
Oh, was, okay.
Something in a row.
He got the slobber.
I'm just waiting for Amy.
I'd like to call the November 21st Board of Safety, 22 Board of Safety meeting. Pledge of Allegiance. I flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, roll call.
Patrick Moran.
Here.
Robert Kometz.
Here.
Raymond Paradiso.
Here.
Brian Daniel.
Here.
Stephen Flores is absent this evening. In his place is Chief Deputy Demeter.
Here.
Kevin Leduc.
Here.
Michael Schilling is absent. Attorney Decker.
Here.
And Joe Wizawati, Town Manager.
Present.
Okay, I'd like, on the agenda, I'd like to introduce our new board member, Brian Daniel. Brian, if you just introduce yourself, say a few words.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to do this. It's kind of interesting to talk police stuff when all the firemen are here tonight. But Brian Daniel, was originally a police officer in 1990 in a little town southwest of Fort Worth, Texas. Did that for about 8.5 years. Broke out as patrol, did FTO, wound up in CID. And in 98, I worked a case with a railroad special agent that called me back some months later and said they had an opening I should put in for it. So I put in for the railroad police in 1998 down in Texas and was down there, worked my way up to captain there, and then transferred to Omaha in 2014. Did our CALIA accreditation process, a director of training for police and K-9, along with our citizen complaint process. Did that until December of 2016, and I transferred to the Chicago area to be the special agent in charge over the Chicago division for the railroad police, which encompasses Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and part of Missouri, and currently live over in Bramblewood. So, sorry for the voice. I've been traveling a little bit and got some different climates going on, so that's my story.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, the next order, will approve the minutes from October 17th, 2022. I'd like a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ray, second by Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Monthly reports, and the fire chief is up first.
For the month of October, total patient contacts were 135. Transfers, 86, refusals, 26. No transports, 4, lift assist, 19. Of that, patient contacts, 79 patient contacts were ALS 1, 0 were ALS 2, 7 were BLS. Of our total patient contacts, again, 69 were residents, 17 were non-residents. The hospital that we transferred most to last month was Franciscan Dyer, followed by Franciscan Crown Point, then Munster Community. And then our last but not least, total amount of money generated was $96,397.19. Total monies received, $51,608.45. Regarding the fire side, total incidents 199. Of those 199, again, the lion's share are here in town with the St. John address of 155. 3 were in the town of St. John, the Crown Point mailing address. 10 were in the town of St. John with the Dyer mailing address. 7 were in town with the Cedar Lake mailing address. We did 10 calls to our contracted part of the township. And then finally, we did 14 calls mutual aid. I did send an email to, I think, just board member Commence about the aging report last month.
I did, thank you. And if I could see that like on a normal monthly basis to tie in, just so we can keep it looking at the buckets and making sure that, one's not growing.
That is my fault, because I think you did mention that, and I failed to do that. So I will
Thank you.
get that to the entire board this next month and send that to everybody.
Hey, Police Chief Demeter.
From October 1st, 2022 through October 31st, 2022, the members of the St. John Police Department logged 23,786 miles and responded to 590 law incidents. The investigation of these incidents, you can't hear me? Okay. The investigation of these incidents led to 27 arrests with 50 charges being filed. There were 222 traffic citations issued along with 289 written warnings for a total of 511 citations being issued during the month. Vehicle thefts totaled $3,500, other thefts totaled $9,943, and recovered property totaled $3,500.
Okay, thank you. Full business, Chief Leduc.
So we're still in the process of we're actively voting now for 3 different air packs, the brand Scott, the brand MSA, and the brand Draeger between our department and Dyer. That voting ends on December 2nd. We will meet as a board with Dyer and figure out which pack we're going to go with. We hope to make a decision by the end of the year, order the packs, and unfortunately probably have to wait for a little bit before we get the new ones. But it's progressing very well. So
How long do you think you'd have to wait for the new ones?
it really depends. So some manufacturers said they knew the supply chain issue and they knew a lot of people got the grant, so they stocked up on some. Some may not have. So really depends on which pack we go with and everything like that. I'm hopeful that we'll have something in service by March.
Okay. Deputy Chief Demeter.
As we discussed last month, the board approved us going ahead with the corporals process because the list was exhausted. Right now, we have 5 people that are interested in taking the exam and going through the process. The next date would be Tuesday, January 3rd of next year at 4 p.m. for the written test. And then after that, the oral interviews will be held Tuesday, January 10th, 2023, and those times will be determined after we find out what's going on with the written test results.
And do you require assistance? Brian, we assisted with during the written grading, verifying each other's work. Is that still okay?
Absolutely. If we could, and for the interviews too, if we could do
Yes.
it the same as we did in the process in May, that worked out really well.
I forgot. Did you mention when the interviews would be?
Yeah, the interviews are going to be Tuesday, January 10th, 2023, but we haven't set times yet.
Okay. New business, fire department.
So I have a few, as my list suggests. So first order of business, we did do a promotional exam for lieutenants, captains, and battalion chief. We had one person pass the promotional exam, was Captain Filikowski. He passed the exam, moved on to the interview. Interview was last week, and Mr. Paradiso was able to join us on the interview, myself, Deputy Chief Gillette. I'm happy to say that Captain Filikowski did pass his interview. So he's the only one on my list right now. So I'm looking for approval to approve. My only candidate for battalion chief is Rich Filikowski.
Well, you need a motion for the certification of the list.
Please.
Okay, so I'm gonna I'm looking for a motion to certify the officer list for the fire department.
I'll make a motion to certify that list.
Okay, that motion was made by Ray Paradiso,
I'll second.
second by Rob Kometz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you, gentlemen. Next order of business that I have would be, if you guys are allowed, promotion of Captain Filikowski to Chief Filikowski, Battalion Chief Filikowski.
so I will look for a motion to promote Captain Filikowski to battalion chief. Looking for a motion for that,
So move.
made by Rob Kometz.
I'll
Second?
Go ahead.
Did you second, or?
Yes.
Okay, second by Ray Paradiso. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you may proceed with your,
If I may, I'd like to now
absolutely.
promote
Yep.
Captain Filikowski. So if I can invite Rich up here and his wife Amy. Congratulations. but not least. Congratulations.
Tell them where to go.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hand. You guys, can we get all right? I need one.
Thanks, guys.
Good job, Richie.
Congratulations.
They don't want to stick around for the rest
I don't know why not. Oh, gosh.
All right, now we'll go to probation discussion.
All right, so this is just for a discussion. Moving forward, I'd have to have a SOG and general order change, but the fire department has a 1-year probation for all members. I'm looking to have a discussion on that, maybe mimicking the police departments for our lateral transfers who have a year of service or more in another department, to mimic that to the 6-month probation. At one point we did have that, then we recently changed it. I'm looking to, again, people that would have prior service at another fire department for at least a year, to mimic the police department having a 6-month probation. Now, while those that don't have at least a year service at another department or are new, which when we get to the next couple of points, they would have a whole year of probation like suggested.
So you're just talking about the laterals with a year or more experience.
Yeah. And I would put that into SOG form, amend the SOG that we have and present it to you guys at the summer meeting. But I wanted to get a flavor and feeling if there's
Is your staff comfortable with having a 6-month?
I think our staff is comfortable for having a 6 months. I'm super comfortable with that as well. Again, we had that for a few of our hires. Then last year we switched it to a year for everybody. But after doing some digging, it is in Indiana and other departments and the police department, it is okay that, not okay, but it's common practice that someone has 6 months of the probation period. And one of the reasons for that is the probationary pay. So if they're coming from another department, it gets them back to a higher rate sooner. That's really the driving force. And we do performance reviews. So anyone that comes in new gets a 3-month, a 6-month, a 9-month, and a 12-month review. Every person that's tenure has a 1-year review. It goes into their file. Myself, deputy chief, look at it along with their battalion chief, goes through and handles that individual performance eval. So if the eval is not where we're looking for it to be, there's already checks there and balances that we wouldn't even bring this up to have that person removed from probation.
So, just out of curiosity, so if he makes probation at 6 months, he's still getting performance reviews up until 12 months?
Yes.
And what would happen if he doesn't, all of a sudden, you're thinking he's not gonna make it, but he already passed probation?
So, well, one, the state of Indiana is an at-will state. So as long as we have proper documentation that they're not doing well, we could probably move, and I'd have to work with the town manager's office, you guys as well, because that's 100% your purview, and see what we do with there. But I'm talking about people that strictly have a experience in the fire service to do this with.
No, I understand, but I'm familiar
that's
with
a good-
laterals, and sometimes you get a lateral that might be your worst nightmare. That's
true.
what I'm saying, you know?
And I hope through the interview process, we'd vet that and they wouldn't get higher up on the list. Most of our laterals that do come are paramedics that kind of push them up higher on the list as it is anyway. Some of the people that we have coming up in our list, if we were to hire one, maybe a lateral, not a paramedic, but they have time in the service. So I was hoping to honor their time in the service.
So we used to be at 6 months, you went to a year, and now you want to go back to 6 months?
Just for
Laterals.
laterals.
Just
So
for lateral.
this board made the suggestion, and at the time, it was everyone for a year. I did bring up at that point, the police department does do laterals at 6 months, but this board made the decision that everyone is for a year.
So somebody in another department with 13 months could conceivably come in
That's correct.
and bypass
6 months of probation.
from an HR standpoint, that's,
I don't personally have a problem with it. You know, usually if they're coming in with a year, they're pretty much qualified to do anything, right? And
Yeah.
would 6 months be enough time to bring them up to your standards and practices?
So again, so traditionally, and this is going to change because the fire service and public service in general, we're having a hard time finding people that actually want to do this job. Most of the people that we're getting now have some history in another department. I want to honor that and give them credit for that. Coming up, I could see in the near future, next few years, not getting any candidates that have any history because we're such a transient workforce, both police and fire at this point, that I'm really scared of what the future holds for this public service and getting applicants. So that's my kind of point on this, is hoping that we honor that and entice people to come here. Other departments, I'll use Crown Point as an example, has 3 months. So if someone were to transfer from St. John to Crown Point, they could perceivably have a 3-month probation. And I don't believe they have a year total on there. I'm using year as some sort of metric. I don't want to, I see Rob Kubentz's point that, hey, 13 months is still kind of like iffy, but I also don't want to, I want it black and white. I don't want to be able to come back to us, to myself or you guys as a board that we kind of picked and choose. So I'm looking for some kind of hard, on this stuff, black and white for that.
well, you're saying most of the laterals generally have several years' experience.
Yeah, so like Mike Haney is a great example, who's a lieutenant now, came from Hobart, and he had 11 or 12 years when he came here. You know, he was one of the ones that when we hired that group, he had a 6-month probation. Firefighter Andres, who's not here now, he left. He was here for a call. He left on a call. Firefighter Andres had 7 years at Hobart, came here, and it was right when we changed. He had to do a full year. Same thing with Firefighter Stribiak. He came from Plymouth, had 6 years there, had to do a full year. So I had some guys that were affected by that 1-year change, but now going forward, while I have a new list and coming up, I'm going to ask to make offers to the 2 new positions. I was just trying to get this on paper before we did anything like that.
Rick, can I hear?
Yeah, here's my feeling, and I've talked this over a little bit with Chief Leduc after the interview process we did. And, you know, spending 36 years in the fire service, if you bring somebody in here a year, if you're their officer and you watch them drill for 26 weeks, and if you can't make a decision in 26 weeks of watching them drill, if they're qualified or not, then you shouldn't be an officer. So, and I think our officers all can do that here. I've met them all. I've talked to them all. I think they all can do something like that. So I don't have a problem with the 26 weeks on a man. Plus, he's got his certifications already, at least on the fire side. He may not have them on the medical side. So he has knowledge because he has his certifications. When you drill, you see their practical side. They should be able to make that decision in 26 weeks. A new person, you've got to develop that person. Yeah, I say stay with a year like he's suggesting with a new person.
Okay. Brian, you have anything?
No, I don't disagree with what he's saying.
Well, I think we're prepared to make a motion on it then.
Well, I don't have anything formally drawn up for you guys. I could come back December with a formal proposal
Okay,
so
you
you
were
can
just
see it.
looking for-
I was just wondering what the council's board's thought is on that. So,
Sounds like you could proceed and bring us something next month.
okay, thank you guys. My next one is the town council was nice enough to put in the budget that was just approved 2 new positions for the fire department. I do have an active list. I'm looking for a motion to offer the next 2 positions on the list that you guys certified back in March, I believe. Candidate 5 and candidate number 7, a offer of employment.
Could I just ask, are we gonna, if we, I'm sure we're gonna approve it, but is this, you gonna be be able to hire right away then?
I'd love to. One's already in the pension, so he would be pretty turnkey. One needs to go through the perf. So that takes, if things go well, we could probably get him in here January 1. But that's if all the stars align, because you have to meet with the doctor, the psychologist, and then everything needs to be perfect. And then you need to send it to state, and they have to do things relatively quickly. So I'm hoping January 1st.
So I just wanna you got the green light to hire him.
It's in the budget. I spoke to town manager. It's in the budget. We can hire, but I have to ask the safety board if I can have approval to hire the next 2 on the list.
Okay. All right, the chief is looking for a motion to hire the next 2 people on the list.
I'll make that motion.
The motion was made by Ray Paradiso,
I'll second that.
second by Rob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next on my laundry list, which I apologize for, is in front of you, you should have a general order 4.06, 4.07. The suggestion I'm coming to you guys with is actually on page 4. I did speak to member Paradiso a little bit on this. Currently, I think I talked to you, Pat, a little bit off cusp with this, but currently our written exam for promotional is 75 is the passing rate. Industry standard is 70, so every cert that we get in the state to pass for a state cert is a 70. This company that provides our test, their suggested passing rate is our score is 70. We went with 75 when we first put this together. What I'm experiencing is people that are coming really, really, really close. 74s and 73s, but they're not hitting that hump of 75 for whatever reason. However, if they were to take this test per the recommended guidelines of the, I don't want to say manufacturer, but the testing company, they say 70 is passing. I haven't been passing them because our general order SOG says 75. So what I'm proposing is the score change on the bottom of a score of 100 to 90, 30 points, a score of 25 to 89, 25 points, a score of 20 to 75 points, 20, a score of 15, 70, a score of 74, 15%, score of 73, 15, sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. A score of 74, 15 points. A score of 73%, 13 points. A score of 72%, 11 points. A score of 9, a score of 71%, 9 points. A score of 70, 7 points. Partly the reason I went with those numbers is it still honors the original spirit of this of 75. So if you get a 75, you're going to get a higher score. And anything below a 70 is an automatic failure. That was my suggestion. I know there was discussion with Mr. Paradiso with another suggestion that he has.
Well, I just wanted to ask, so if I remember during our conversation, you've had some people fail the test.
I have, so yes, I've had some people fail the test a couple times.
How many promotional exams have we had with this 75?
3.
So the only question I have is that, I think we said this could be construed as lowering our standard.
It could. So the other problem that I do have, so one, my comment to that is the state passing rate for firefighter 1 and 2, any certification we get in the state is a 70. The suggested passing rate from the company that gives us this test is 70. So I think we went above and beyond something that may not be, it's definitely achievable because I've promoted people that have gotten that, but the cohort is not getting that. So looking at the stats, I'll be quiet. Sorry, go ahead, Ray.
How does that percentage factor in with neighboring departments?
70 is the standard of Crown Point, who does just a promotional exam.
And then looking at your new breakdown, 30 points for 90 to 100 when we were giving 30 points for 95 to 100. To me, it would seem like if you want to keep the cream at the top, kind of keep that breakdown to give the people that scored exceptionally well the 30 points. 90 is good, but what we were doing before, you were giving the top 5% the maximum points. Now you're lowering for every category.
I agree with that. I think Ray came up with another suggestion that I actually really like too. And I don't want to steal Ray's thunder, but Ray's suggestion to me was to keep the top part, so 15 points to 79 to 15%. Sorry, 15 points for the 79% to 75%. But then starting at 74%, offer them 13 points. Starting at 73%, offer them 11 points. At 72%, offer them 9 points. At 71%, offer them 7 points. And at 70%, offer them 5 points.
I think that would be good, because that way you're still recognizing, the stars that have scored incredibly well without lumping them down into other people that might not have scored as high.
So I have some work to do on this, but I can also present this again for better synopsis, unless you guys are okay.
I don't think.
I just have another couple questions, but go ahead, Ray.
I don't think he needs to represent it again. I think what we can do is just say, if you adopt the top part from 1 through 5, and then when you start at 74, make it 13, and go down from there by 2. And that would be fine, I think. I would certainly be fine with that. I can't speak for the rest of you. I
I
would be fine with
think
that.
that would be,
So
I like that idea.
my question is, we've failed people that got below. So there's people on the list that have failed. Are you looking to hire somebody?
No,
Or
so-
this is gonna be a new test.
So I have to do a new test because this was the old standard.
Okay.
Part of the other reason is these tests cost money every time I do it. But the general order says if I have positions open, I have to have a list. So I'm going to give another cool down period. I'll probably come back to the board January or February. It's a 3-month process, so I'll announce it. We wouldn't be promoting probably till the middle of the year if it happens, but it gives them time to study again and everything else. I'm not looking to promote someone, push someone through, but I've had a couple people at 74s, which, right on the cusp, but I do believe would make good officers, 74, 73. Again, I feel that we have to redo the test because the last test wasn't at this metric. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does, yeah. I just want to make sure we weren't gonna,
No.
we're gonna lower the standards and then hire somebody on the lowered standards,
No.
until the new one goes into effect.
Yeah, and I wouldn't plan to do that to the beginning of next year to start it, so.
So do you want to write something up on our recommendations and bring that up next month, or?
Whatever is the pleasure of the board. I do have Ray's suggestions written down, or whatever Adam suggests. I don't mind redoing it because we're not doing it right away. Or if you want to adopt it with these suggestions, it's really up to the board. I don't want to push things through without your.
Well, I can entertain the motion, but someone's going to have to read what you proposed, Ray.
I'll read it.
So,
Okay.
could you read them again as what you're proposing?
I would propose that we take the scores from 100 to 95 and give them 30 points. 94 to 90, give them 25 points. 89 to 85, give them 20 points. 84 to 80, give them, 20 points.
Is that a,
Yeah,
or,
Yeah,
no, I would change that 84 to 80 to 23 points instead of 20 to 17 points. 17 points. The 84 to 80, 17 points, I would change that to. I would not leave it the same as the 89 to 85. 79 to 75, 15 points. 74, 13. 73, 11. 72, 9. 71, 7. And 75 points.
Is that what you have, Chief?
Yeah, just to clarify, because of the typo, you're saying 23 points for a score of 89 to 85, correct?
Either 23 points for a score of, or 17 points for the score. One of those two have to
No.
change.
I will go with what Adam has written down. 17 points for a score of 84 to 80, correct?
Correct.
I have that.
Everybody on board with making a motion on that? Or do you want to wait till next month?
good with that.
You're good with that? Brian?
no, I just wanted to clarify the 17, the typo was causing me to, we got it squared away, we're good.
Hey, Ray?
I'm fine
You
with
gonna
it.
be up?
I'm-
When
I'm
When I
fine.
raise the motion, you're gonna have to read it again.
All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
He wrote it down.
I'm gonna propose a motion to change the scoring for the future promotional exam. And you have the floor is what you're
Okay.
proposing.
Okay.
Say you're gonna make
Score-
the motion to,
I'm going to make the motion to change the scoring for promotional exams to the following. Score of 100 to 95 or 95 to 100 will get 30 points. A score of 90 to 94 will get 25 points. A score of 85 to 89 will get 20 points. A score from 80 to 84 will get 17 points. A score from 75 to 79 will get 15 points. A score of 74 will get 13 points. A score of 73 will get 11 points. A score of 72 will get 9 points. A score of 71 will get 7 points. And a score of 70 will get 5 points.
okay, motion made by Ray Paradiso. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I promise I'm almost done. So the next thing is hiring discussion. The hiring discussion is more so for part-time. So currently our practice for part-timers is we hire someone with a fire cert, so we could use them on a dual role, kinda. I've already mentioned this, alluded to this, that we're having a hard time finding people that are both medically trained and fire trained. Our town, our staffing right now is 6 during the day and 6 at night. I'm struggling a little bit with that. One of the ideas would be we hire just medics or just EMTs that don't have any fire certifications. What they would do and what that does for me is they would be just on the ambulance. They'd be assigned the ambulance. Right now we hot vehicle swap. So essentially, myself and Lieutenant Sharp may be on an ambulance for this call, but the next call, if it's a fire call, we have to take our stuff from the ambulance and go to the engine, which does create some problems, but right now, that's what we're doing. What I would like to propose is that we entertain hiring people that are just paramedics at this point. Then I could relieve a paramedic like Lieutenant Sharp, who would go then staff the fire apparatus. That paramedic only would be strictly on the ambulance, and they would know that when we would interview them. It would change a little bit on the payroll ordinance, which I'd have to, down the road, work with Joe and the town council on, because they wouldn't get compensated as much as a part-time paramedic firefighter, but it kind of helps us with the staffing. Another thing in the future, I'm not there yet, but there has been talk, and there's many departments down in Indy that are moving to the staffing model of hiring just paramedics or civilian. So opening your hiring age to people that are over the age of 35 that just staff the ambulance. I don't know if we're there yet, but I just want to plant that seed. But this is more so, right now our hiring practices are for even part-time, or having someone that's a firefighter status and EMS status. I'm looking to have someone just at the EMS status so I could staff that ambulance. Therefore, I could use our part-time guys and or our full-time guys that have the fire certs to staff that fire side, which is our real problem at this point. Looking for your feelings on that, and since hiring and firing and discipline is really your purview, I wanted to talk to you about that and get a direction on how you guys feel on that.
Well, first off, is the paramedic or you're talking paramedics, not EMTs?
Yeah, mainly paramedics is what we're really needing.
Do they respond to fire calls? So if you got a house fire?
So yes.
But they're not doing anything fire related?
No, they could do little things like we could ask them we could train them to do the fire hydrant. They cannot do any interior firefighting because they don't have the certifications to do that. But, moving a ladder to a window, moving hose, they could do that. But besides short of those little tasks, legally they cannot do any firefighting.
What do you think about that?
I don't have a problem with that because on any fire call, you have to have an ambulance call. You have to have an ambulance
every
crew
time.
to do vitals and that for the firefighters that have been in the fire and do a critique of, see how they are. So I have no problem with that, and a lot of your major cities are going to that. They're going to be part-time people to begin with, okay? To have 2 on that are just going to man the ambulance rather than to be short and only have 3 or 4 people on shift. You've still got 4 people that are full-time there, or your full-time shift, that can man your fire apparatus. You have your 2 medical people you're sending out on your ambulance. There's no problem with that as far as I'm concerned.
So this would help, especially next year, if these 2 new hires, if they were to accept. If not, I have more people on the list. But with these 2 new hires, it would make our staffing next year 7 during the day, 6 at night. That 7 is kind of the magic number, because then I could keep 2 ambulances in service, and then I have 3 people on our quint, or the fire engine. And what we would do during a fire, one of the ambulances would drop down. They would jump on they could either jump on the engine and take the engine, which is more water and another vehicle there, or they could take and jump on the quint and have that vehicle fully staffed. So this is more moving towards meeting some of the NFPA recommendations and offering the service that we need to the town, that the town is grown to expect with 2 ambulances.
So these would probably be just firemen wanting a part-time, I'm sorry, paramedics wanting part-time work.
Yes.
Yeah, you have a lot of paramedics that work in the private industry, that work for private ambulance services. They're just as well trained. They don't understand the fire ground as well as naturally as a firefighter, but they can do the medical work that you need them to do. If they go to your house for a heart attack, they know the same thing that our trained guys on the fire department know. Okay.
So you would have to do a salary ordinance and a personnel ordinance to?
So Joe's looking at me like he wants to hurt me because he's been working on a salary ordinance, but
I'm throwing daggers at you.
so I would have to have a discussion with Joe about the salary ordinance. We'd have to come up with a salary, because it wouldn't be right or just to compensate a part-time paramedic the same rate as a part-time firefighter paramedic.
I agree with you.
So their rate would be somewhere in between the part-time firefighter paramedic and the part-time EMT firefighter. We have to come up with some sort of rate. What I would talk to other departments. Lake Hills is someone that uses them, so I would find out if there's a different rate there and kind of model what their rate is to ours and come up with that.
You mentioned discipline, though. Wouldn't they be under the umbrella of the fire department, and wouldn't the same?
Yeah, so there'd be employees of the fire department. So yeah, they'd follow the same SOGs and SOPs. They just, and they're just civilian staff. So, excuse me, I don't know if we were going towards speaking the same thing there. I don't know if we're talking, right now I'm strictly talking part-time. But in the future, there may be a push or maybe a need to hire people that are over the age of pension age. Right now is 18 to before your 36th birthday
No, 40. They changed
for
perfect.
police,
Oh.
not us.
No, we're better.
You are better. Police are better than the minutes.
Put that in the minutes.
I was gonna say something, I'm not.
But I'm not there yet, but that has been a discussion that's been very hot and heavy at our fire department. We have some guys that are above pension age that are working now part-time that would love to work full-time, but they're above pension age. They would just move to just the EMS side of things if and when we did that on the full-time side. Right now, I'm just looking for the part-time side of the ability just to hire paramedics.
I commend you on your out-of-the-box thinking.
Trying to solve.
Would there be incentive for them to get their fire certifications?
Yeah, so to get a fire certification, a lot of these people don't have a association with a fire department, and to be associated with a fire department, they could sponsor you to go to the fire academy. So one right now, humble brag that we have about 9 new volunteers that'll be going through the academy in January. I could, if I say hire someone in December and they could go through all the same tests that the volunteers did, I would have no problem sponsoring them because they would help us dual roles and in just the medic role.
So you could get like somebody from Superior Ambulance or something that could just all of a sudden, hey, how do I get to?
How do I become a firefighter?
Yeah,
And since they're associated with us, that's the key that they need to get into the class.
yeah.
There's also a lot of medics that they're like, listen, you guys are silly. I like dealing with the blood and guts. You could go deal with the fire. They just don't have a desire for it. And they're great clinicians, just like every full-timer that I have now is a paramedic except one. I would trust them with my family's life or anyone else's life. I wouldn't hire them if they weren't good for the town.
I think it's a great idea, and it's no secret there's a national shortage of police and fire, and whatever we can do to get that rectified or improved.
Backstop your manpower.
So I guess I'm looking for because there's nothing that was ever written down on this, but a motion from the safety board or so we could change our hiring practices officially to hiring just paramedics, allowing that candidate pool to be open.
That, Adam, does it need to be on the agenda, or I mean, you kind of like just brought this up with that?
We could do it next month too.
Well, if it's, yeah, no, I mean, it's on the agenda, I think, it's a hiring
Hiring
discussion. It's
discussion,
not,
yeah.
it's not really specific, as far as, part-time
Yeah,
paramedic hiring, but I think the board can take it up if it is inclined to do that tonight. I don't think it has to be specifically set forth on the agenda as a separate item, because I think it's included on the agenda tonight.
okay.
All right, then I'm gonna make a motion.
I gotta start.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm the president.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I need a motion to allow the chief to investigate and change the hiring ordinance to part-time paramedics.
All right, I'll make a motion that the chief can hire part-time paramedics to man the ambulance, do shift work and man the ambulance for the town of St. John.
Awesome, right?
Do you want to limit it to just part-time or going?
Right now,
forward?
yes.
So I have that motion by Ray
I'll
Paradiso,
second that.
and it's seconded by Rob Kometz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry, Dave, I'm almost done. All
right,
right,
just-
so I'm looking for support and maybe a recommendation from this board to the town council. One, this helps me if I do the SAFER grant next year. Get a letter from this board that it supports the idea of us applying for the SAFER grant. SAFER grant is for staffing. My suggestion would be to look in for 7 full-time staff. Now, I do not know the parameters of the grant next year because they haven't released it. We currently are in this grant for this year. They haven't denied us yet, but if we didn't receive it yet, fiscal year for the federal government's ending soon, so I'm pretty sure that they just didn't hit, "Hey, Kevin, I'm sorry yet" button, but we're pretty close to being denied. This is a very elusive grant. Not many people get it. A lot of people apply for. But the more letters of recommendation I have found that if I get from my governing bodies, this board and then the town council subsequently, that weighs more favorably when the committee's picking it. So I'm looking just for support and recommendation, maybe in a letter form from this board that I can include with my application for the 2023 SAFER grant.
Is that something, Adam, we can do? Write him, I mean, we don't know if we're gonna get the money, but you're just looking for like a letter in support, correct? Is that something we need to do a motion on? Or?
Well, if it's going to be authored or come from the Plan Commission, I'm not the Plan Commission, I'm sorry, the Board of Safety as a whole, then I think it should be taken up and considered by the Board of Safety, and a vote should be taken. It could be signed just by the chairperson alone. It could be signed by all of the members who wish to sign the letter. But I think it's appropriate, if it's coming from the Board of Safety, that there be action taken.
Chief, would you be able to help me draft that letter? And then do you guys all want to sign it, or do you want to give me? I'll ask for a motion, but do you want to give me?
I would ask the chief, would it hold more weight with 4 or 5 signatures on it from the Board of Safety, or?
So I'm of the thought of, yeah, the more letters are like almost not the more letters of recommendation, but the more support you get for something from governing and oversight committees, I think the support that it shows the federal government that everyone's on board. I got it from all local senators, and last time I'm just trying to bolster our efforts. Anything that I can do to get that 1% over that they pick us.
Would you be entertaining the town council for a letter also?
I don't. So I was hoping Councilman Schilling's here. I have someone in the audience that may be listening that I would hope that he's not paying attention to me.
Yeah.
But I would hope that the council would support this. So I need a letter from the council as well.
Okay.
In past, I feel that President Sweats asked what the board felt, this board, and typically the council supports this board's recommendations. That's why I started here first.
Okay. All right.
I do have a question about the SAFER grant. I'm not familiar with that. Is it a annual thing, or is it like for how many years, or?
So this year's the one that I haven't been denied yet for is 3 years, 100% pay, and after year 3, you're on board for all those people. You cannot lay those people off first. So the idea of the grant is to move you closer to NFPA 1710 and 1720. Those numbers really don't mean anything, but it's the adequate staffing for the fire side. So this, in theory, right now, I staff 4 full-timers per shift. We only staff an ambulance. We don't provide a fire truck. Because of our history in the town, that's what we've been giving to the town. So this would give us people that are staffed on a fire truck. So that's really what this is for. I can't mention in my application, can't mention anything about EMS because as soon as they see that, they don't want to support that. They want to support having a dedicated fire engine apparatus coming. We honestly don't provide that right now.
So after 3 years, the town would have to come up with the money,
Yep.
pay the additional 3 full-time.
Well, I'm asking for 7, and the reason I'm asking
You
for
said we got 4 already, right? We're staffing 4?
6, you're going from 6 to 7? Is that?
so right now, so the staffing currently right now we have 4 full-timers per shift. We have 2 part-time spots for 48 hours per shift. So we have 6 spots per shift. However, when the part-time doesn't pick up, to balance our overtime budget, I'm not allowing a bunch of full-timers to pick it up. Otherwise, our budget would be crazy. They'd love it, but council doesn't want me to do that. So right now we staff 4. Our minimum staffing is 3. When I get these 2 new hires, 2 shifts will have 5 full-time, 1 shift will have 4. So to combat that, so every shift's equal, there'll be 7 during the day in every shift, 6 at night.
Okay.
This would be on top of that. So then the 7 full-time would add that other 1 to that 1 shift. So that'd bring it up to 5. And then the other 6 would give my full-timers 7 with the part-time spots of 2. That'd be 9 total if we got this grant. So then you're for sure staffing an engine, 2 ambulances, and have room for 2 call-offs, if that's your minimum.
So what is the staff, the new staff requirement?
So staffing right now is only 3.
So how many would we be looking if we got the grant?
If we got the grant plus the 2 new hires that you guys approved, that would be 7 per shift, full-time, plus 2 part-times per shift. So each shift would have 9. So enough to staff 2 ambulances, an engine, which is 2 people, or we could staff 4 people on the Quint and then 1 battalion chief in a battalion chief's vehicle.
Should that decrease the open spots in the overtime and?
That would decrease we have built-in overtime just by the nature of our schedule, but it would decrease open shifts. It would decrease the need to hold people over. It would also ensure that the town has fire coverage and EMS coverage. Because again, right now we're really an EMS department that wears cool fire department stuff.
Okay.
Hard to understand?
No.
Okay.
Thanks for being here, though.
No, I totally agree with the chief because I look at coming from a fire department and right now you're talking of a town of 20,000 people that can't always man a fire engine and an ambulance. And we need to do something about it. I mean, and this gives us a 3-year reprieve if he gets it to do that. I mean, it gives the town council 3 years to work on a way to do that, and we have the coverage in place for our citizens.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to support the chief by way of a letter to the Safer Grant people, indicating the full support of the Board of Safety. Do I have do I have somebody that wants to make that motion?
You're asking for the motion?
Yeah, I'm going to ask him for the motion.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Motion was made by Rob Kometz and seconded by Ray Paradiso. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. And then I'll be in contact with you about.
Yeah, I have helped Pat with that letter.
Okay.
And last but not least is a very similar request.
You okay, Dave?
Yeah, I keep pinching myself. I'm keeping awake.
I knew Dave was coming.
I'm usually in my PJs now. That's why I'm saying that. It's 7 o'clock.
My last request is in the similar vein to the town council about supporting a continual examination of a fire territory. Just to give a brief synopsis of this, we have been in discussion with the town of Dyer, the town of Schererville, and Lake Hills, which is St. John Township. Basically, this is a consolidation into your own taxing district to be a fire territory. We did do a study. It did come back very heavy. Needed some amendments. Were kind of on hold because we're going into another year. The councils had elections. But I'm just looking for support from this group to continue to express and look into that. We do have to. It was very clear that, and Town Manager Wizawati was there as well, that the initial proposal was heavy. It needs to be amended, and we are working on that as the fire chiefs. I have personal feelings that some communities may not still want to be involved, but there are some communities that are still very interested in this, and it would help staffing for us and other departments throughout the area.
Is this something that, I mean, this is a big deal. Is this something that would require like public hearings and?
So yes, the way, and that's a very good question because there's a few laws that are coming up, but right now it does require public hearing. So say this for ease, us in St. John Township decide to consolidate and become one fire territory. What would happen was we as a town and St. John Township as a township would have to adopt 2 word for word agreements. There has to be 3 readings. They could either be together or separately. What the CPAs that we were working with said traditionally it's not remonstrated by the public a lot about this. It's usually the school system. So as you guys are aware, in Indiana, in Lake County, we have the 1% tax cap. So the money's coming from somewhere. So places take a hit. It's the schools, it's the libraries, it's the county. So we're not making new money, we're just spreading it essentially. So that's where the public hearing would be, and they do see places like the school board remonstrating the school because they lose a little bit. There's things downstate that I found out that they're talking about making this a referendum item, but that probably wouldn't happen this year, but there's thought of that, so the public would have a choice. Before it becomes a referendum, though, the council would still have to agree to move into it. So this is still on our town council, still on whatever council we move in with, if they would want to do that. But I'm just looking for support from you guys because.
Just to continue, not to give.
Yeah, we're not.
Of approval, because I don't even know enough about it to.
Yeah, and I think, and Adam could explain too, I think the council would have to approve and go into this agreement. I don't think it'd be the Board of Safety, the council would. But,
Correct.
And Joe could explain too, I'm just looking for support so that they know that I've spoken to you, that you guys know the idea, and if we want to speak finer details, we could talk about that too, but just I want support from this board so they know that, we're actively trying.
Concern I would have is, my wife's a teacher, and if you're drawing funds away from the school district for teachers that are already underpaid,
Yep.
it's not gonna look good that, we're making it more difficult on the school districts
So
pay their teachers fairly.
That's fair, and it's a point that people say throughout the state. The only comeback that people have for that is the school could go ask for referendums. The fire departments cannot. So, in fact, the referendum for the school is going to expire this next year, so that's going to be on the ballot again. So the school has the ability to do that. Fire departments do not.
So as for a referendum standpoint, you're not even in the Lake Central School District, so it's easy for you to say
No, I get that. I 100% agree.
referendum, but
It is 100% a tax increase. So I'm not going to lie and say it isn't a tax increase. It's not a. It's a tax increase because so the town would also lose money. So the town would lose money out of this general fund. So it is plausible that the town council may say, hey, this is happening. We agree with it because you could get better funding and we could get more staff, but then they could turn around and raise taxes. Same thing with the school board. So I don't want to mislead anyone.
And Chief, I'm not against pursuing it and doing more research, but I'm just making it known you're gonna have a lot of upset teachers.
I don't think teachers are the only ones. I think the council has to wrap their head around they're going to lose funds too. So
But I think it's worth pursuing to
Yeah.
see what the extent is, but just a little caution there.
no, I 100%.
Okay, so I'm just gonna make a motion that the Chief Leduc can continue the examination of this process with the caveat that we're not supporting it, but we're actually letting him proceed further, and I'm sure he'll come to us at a later date. So we have a motion on the floor for that, or can somebody make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion that Chief Leduc has the authority to pursue investigation into the fire territory.
I would second that.
Motion made by Ray and
I'll
seconded
second
by
that he can
Brian.
pursue, yeah, to look
Okay.
at it.
Okay, we have the motion and a second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I'm done. Thank you.
Police.
Anybody need a bathroom break or shave again or something? Our eligibility list that was certified in 2020 expired last month. As the board knows, a few months ago, you gave us permission to establish another eligibility list. We went through the process. We completed that the first part of the month here. And in front of you, you have the list we're hoping that the board will certify tonight.
Okay, and I just want to say it was a pleasure being present for most of that, and thanks for letting me attend.
Oh, you're
I
welcome.
really enjoy it. So I need a motion to approve the general hire eligibility list.
So moved.
A motion made by Rob Kometz. Do I have a second?
I'll second
Second by Brian Daniel. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And also just like to wish you a blessed and great Thanksgiving. I hope you
Thanks.
have a wonderful
And
holiday.
you too.
You too.
You
Do we
too.
have to, do we have one of these that we
Yeah,
have to sign?
She's gonna
Amy,
do
will
it.
you have a list for us?
She's got it.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have it ready for
Okay.
signatures. I'll pass
Okay,
it on.
Wanna do that?
so,
Do that,
yep.
just pass it down, or how you gonna do it?
yeah, we'll wait till the end of the meeting.
Okay.
The public comment, I don't believe, anybody for public comment?
They're all
Okay,
in.
so I need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion made by Ray Paradiso. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Brian Daniel. Motion carries. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion adjourned, or meeting adjourned.